despite how I felt about our family and our relationship and who I was now, just reminded me that like his love and his grace had never changed.
So I think communities play a large part in my life. Growing up, I didn't have much of a community. I think a big part of my struggle was not having people that believed in me or were willing to just fight for me and do whatever it took. So coming back to Ohio, I had struggled with pain meds for 3 years. I was addicted, just completely deceived, hurting every single person that was around me, hurting my wife, her family, just lying, stealing, doing whatever I had to do to feed that addiction. But when I came back to Canton, I had just a community of believers, Corey, James, Garrett, Anthony, just all those guys. There was a moment where they did like an impromptu intervention and I wasn't having it. So they actually came to my house and they sat on my porch for hours. Me and Avery were inside and I refused to answer the door. And then Corey texted me and said that they had Little Caesars pizza. And so I decided that, you know what, let's open this door and hear them out. And so they came inside, and I think that's what, for me, the willingness to just stay there spoke louder to me than anything. And when they came inside, they loved on me. And it was a very, very, very humbling experience. But like I always say, they love me to my mess and they love me through my mess. I want to say yes, but I don't think that I would have been able to do it without them. I think because at that moment I couldn't believe in myself. I was so far gone that I couldn't see it, but they saw something in me. And I can remember talking to Corey at church, and he told me that he said that Avery's not going to be the first little girl in this church that grows up without a father. For some reason, I believed him. It was hard for me, but I believed him. So.
Well, when Markus left, I really secluded myself. I thought that it would be easier to just deal with everything that was going on by myself and behind closed doors. I was sort of knocked down. Like I was knocked down a level. I felt like everybody was perceiving us differently and judging us for decisions that were being made, and that I just wasn't good enough anymore. That like I didn't know if I was going to amount to anything anymore, if our family was going to be good enough ever again. So eventually, Jordan and Rachel and everybody just kind of kept pushing me and saying to come to Word Women, and I finally gave in and I started going regularly, and I just got to the point where like my walls were just shook and broken down, and everything just kind of came together for me. They just reminded me and were that support that like it doesn't matter what the rest of the world is thinking, like none of that has ever changed the way that God has perceived our family or myself. They were just like the most supportive, loving group of women I've ever met in my life, and it was so crucial to that part of my journey to understand that there are people out there that love you and support you and just remind you of what Jesus is. Like they were really the hands and feet of Jesus, like in my face, saying like, we love you and we don't care what has happened and we don't judge you for anything that has happened in your life. Like you're worthy because God created you. Like nothing that you did or nothing that your family did has ever made you any less than. So that was really powerful. So it's been really good for us to have other married couples around us, people who support us and most importantly don't judge us through this. It was really hard for me to take a step back and realize that people aren't looking at us as like the family that dealt with drug addiction. And to know that people just love us and have faith in us. To know that we have people in our lives who don't base our friendship off of like what we've done or what we can do for them has been incredibly empowering for us and allowed us to grow with each other, with ourselves, and just in the community.
It was really cool because part of Teen Challenge, this is where I was at the rehab, they talk about people, places, and things. Don't go back to the same people, don't go back to the same places, don't do the same things. Well, fortunate for me, the people I was around, the places I was going, the things, well, maybe the things were a little shaky, but just the people and the community around me was so good that coming home was such an easy transition.
It's powerful to have people around you who you can be real with at all times, to know that we all have our struggles and nobody has it all together. And that's so empowering, to have a group of people around you who are just doing life. And we're just doing it for Christ, and we're doing it together, and it's awesome.
Absolutely.